my old school uniform, Kevin Walker.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. This morning I will endeavor to entertain you with a description of my old school uniform. In 1961, my family moved to Nairobi, Kenya. I was 8 years old. And right away, they enrolled me in St. Mary's School for Boys, a Catholic missionary school on the outskirts of town. I had many happy years at St. Mary's, but I won't lie, in the very beginning it was a little rough because I was the only American in the school. I had the wrong accent. I was interested in the wrong kinds of sports. I had no clue what they were doing when they were playing their schoolyard games, and their slang was completely undecipherable to me. But when you're young and motivated, you quickly assimilate. And so within about a week, I had the slang down. About a week after that, I knew the games. And soon I learned how to play soccer and rugby and cricket. And in due time, my accent morphed into a kind of Afro-British colonial hybrid, which I will not attempt to torture you with. But the point is, I got to know the school very well. He said, oh, you'll like this. They had their own hero. Like Hogwarts has Harry Potter. St. Mary's had little Drogi. Drogi went to that school two decades before my time. But the boys were still talking about him with reverence and awe. Because back in the 40s, Nairobi was just a tiny little cow town. And then St. Mary's was way, way, way out in the bush. And little Drogi one morning on his 3-mile trek to school, somehow he managed to startle a large bull rhinoceros. And he found himself in a kind of standoff, about 25 yards apart. He didn't know what to do. Should I tiptoe away? Should I wait for him to move? Should I look at him? No, don't look at him. But while he was trying to think his way out of the situation, the rhino was thinking too. The rhino was thinking, that little boy startled me. I'm upset. Now he must die. He lowers his big rhino head with the big horn and the little horn, and he takes off after Drogi, gathering speed as he goes. And now Drogi's like, OMG. I'm totally being charged at by this rhino. At least now he knew what to do. I'm going to give you the scoop on rhinos. They're magnificent creatures, and they're endangered. They deserve our protection. But everyone in Africa knows that there's nothing quite as stupid as a rhinoceros. You let it run up to you, you step aside, he goes charging past. He can't see his target anymore. He forgets what he's angry at. And he just goes back to being done so the animal can. So this was Drogi's plan. He stayed as still as he could. But as the rhino approached, Drogi felt the earth begin to tremble and shake. And he thought, maybe I should open my eyes so I know when it's time to jump. And he forced them open only to see 2 tons of rhinoceros stampeding right at him. But he didn't run away. He waited till he could see the whites of the rhino's eyes, which is really hard to do on a rhino. You should try it sometime. And it wasn't until he felt the hot, stinking breath of the rhino right in his face, he took a mighty leap. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. You're all waiting to hear about my old school uniform. We had to wear dress shoes. We had to wear gray knee socks that rolled over to reveal 1 white and 2 blue stripes on the school colors. We had to wear khaki short sleeve shirt with button-down breast pockets and epaulets. We had to wear a blue and white elastic belt and a blue and white knit tie. And we always had to keep our shirt tail tucked in, because at St. Mary's School, let that baby get loose, it's a major sin. And by the way, when I'm talking about khaki, I'm not talking about khaki colored. I'm not talking about Dockers. I'm talking about the actual fabric khaki, tough as Kevlar. You can walk through a thorn bush unscathed. And when they roll that into a hem, it's like having a cast iron ring around your thigh. Which is why when the rhino's horn went up Drogi's pant leg, it ripped through the fabric, but not the hem. And in a flash, Drogi found himself dangling from the business end of a very angry rhino, thundering across the African savannah. So he's hanging upside down, he's traveling about 35 miles an hour, and he's thinking, O, M, F, and G. Not only did I fail to get out of this rhino's line of sight, but now I'm forever his full-time target. He will run until the end of time, chasing me. He and I will grow old and die together, and the vultures will mix up our bones. But the rhino's thinking too. He's thinking, why can't I get this kid? And I keep charging and charging. That always worked before. And in frustration, he starts trying to slash at his target, swinging Drogi back and forth. And on one of those swings, Drogi got a leg up over, and he hoisted himself up into a saddle position between the two horns. And you might think that's better than dangling below. But next time you're dealing with an angry rhino, by all means, sit on his face. He starts bucking around, and Drogi is hanging on for dear life. But from that position, he can undo his belt and slide out of his shorts. And then using the rhino's ears and horns as handholds and footholds, he makes a dangerous climb up the bucking rhino's face, pushes himself through the ears, and rolls off the back of the rhino. And when he finally stops rolling, he sits up, he looks down, torn, bruised, scratches, no pants. But otherwise he's okay. And when the dust settles, he can see the rhino about 200 yards off, grazing peacefully. So, picks up his pants, he has to hold them on now, and he walks to school. When he gets there, he stops, tucks in his shirt tail, and he goes up the steps, through the front doors, and directly into the Lower St. Mary's School for Boys. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you have two new pieces of knowledge. You know all about my old school uniform. And that's information that is going to serve you no purpose whatsoever. But on the practical side, you now know what to do if you're ever attacked by a rhino. Mr. Toastmaster.